This is a plan to eliminate the U.S. national debt in 11 years. My name is Ralph Schweitzer. I served 2 tours of combat in Vietnam with the U.S. Navy, been married for 45 years, 3 children, 4 grandchildren. I love this country and I'm a devoted patriot. I'm worried about the country's future for my grandchildren. Believe we can solve our problems, and I've put forward a common sense plan to fix our problems. Why did I create this plan? I'm worried about the long-term viability of the U.S. To be honest, I'm scared for my children and grandchildren's future. I've created a sensible, workable plan for the nation to eliminate the national debt in 11 years. I've proved it by the numbers, projections, calculations with modest conservative growth and inflation. A few years ago, I applied the same plan to my personal finances and eliminated my debt. These slides will prove we can get back to sound financial health in the U.S. without sacrifice. U.S. national debt is a ticking time bomb. It has the potential to collapse the U.S. economy. A collapse of this magnitude would make the Great Depression look like child's play. There would be riots in the street because 50% of the U.S. population is on some sort of welfare. There would be a domino effect around the world. A collapse of the U.S. economy could trigger a world war, as the Great Depression caused World War II. This is more serious than the Great Depression. The biggest threat to the U.S. is not a military power, but our national debt. Currently, the national debt is just over $16 trillion, while the U.S. GDP is just a little bit over $15 trillion. This is a very threat to our existence. Our existence centers on the Constitution and our economic power. What keeps the world stable is the U.S. military. Our economy allows us to have the world's strongest military. If we become a second-rate economy, we will also become a second-rate military power. A foreign power could then easily conquer us. The U.S. national debt is more than the U.S. GDP. You would be terrified if your credit card balances were more than your gross income. We should all be terrified about the national debt. Some politicians say, slash spending. Others say, raise taxes. Neither will work and will have a negative effect on the economy and our society, because more than 50% of the U.S. population is on some sort of welfare, such as food stamps, Social Security, and Medicare. Slashing spending will cause economic slowdown and civil unrest. Look at Greece. Raising taxes massively will cause economic slowdown and civil unrest. Look at England and France. Here's a pie chart of FY 2012 federal spending, $3.59 trillion. Here's the pie chart of FY 2011 tax receipts, $2.3 trillion. Total revenues of FY 2012 revenue of the United States was $2.5 trillion. While the budget for FY 2012 was $3.98 trillion with a deficit of $1.48 trillion. My plan is called Freeze and Grow. Freeze the federal budget at 3.5% inflationary growth. Don't worry about creating jobs. Don't worry about slashing the budget. Concentrate on growing the U.S. GDP from $16 trillion to $23 trillion in 11 years. As a result, millions of more jobs will be created. Revenues into the federal treasury will double. I have a 7-point plan to eliminate the national debt in 11 years while adding 20 million new jobs. 7-point plan to eliminate the national debt, freeze the U.S. budget at FY 28 level for 11 years with 3.5% inflationary growth. Overhaul the federal income tax system, remove the caps on Social Security, become totally energy independent, stop the flow of illegal aliens into the country, reduce all useless regulations on businesses, remove all useless environmental regulations. Need be no cuts to anything. No cuts or changes to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, no defense cuts, no cuts to Pell Grants, student loans, etc. Everything in the FY 2008 budget is frozen with 3.5% inflationary growth. Step 1. Freeze the budget for 11 years. Freeze it at FY 2008 level for 11 years. There's plenty of entitlement spending in that budget, compounded with 3.5% inflation. Plenty of defense spending. We need to force Congress to pass a law freezing the budget for 11 years. Step 2, overhaul the federal tax system. 5% flat income tax on everyone and everything. No national sales tax. 5% income tax on earned wages. 5% capital gains tax. 5% tax on corporate or business profits. No deductions, no exemptions, no loopholes. Everyone pays 5% tax. No one is exempt. A student working at a fast food restaurant pays 5% income tax on wages. A person making $1 million a year pays 5% tax on income. The result, more money in people's pocket will cause more spending and greater economic activity. Income tax receipts will double, almost eliminating the need for the IRS. Step 3. Here's an easy fix to Social Security. Eliminate the caps. Currently, a wage earner quits contributing to the fund at $110K in wages. An entertainer, movie star, or top athlete pays about 1 month of Social Security while others below the cap pay all year. It's a flat tax, so let's treat it as a flat tax all year to everyone. Everyone pays into the fund. No one is excluded. Social Security receipts into the fund would double. No changes to Social Security needed. All surplus above the fund's need applied to the national debt. Step 4. Become totally energy independent. Being energy dependent, we're at risk of being the #1 world economy. We could be bullied by other nations. It's a threat to our national security. Not able to field an army, air force, or sail a fleet. Inflation is directly tied to the price of oil. We will not be able to pay off our national debt if we are oil dependent. Use our vast oil and gas resources to power our economy. Drill on and offshore. Get the price of gasoline to $2 a gallon. Expand the use of nuclear power plants. Eliminate corn ethanol. It creates food shortages and raises food prices. Step 5. Stop the flow of illegal aliens. A nation's sovereignty is determined by how well it protects its borders. Illegal aliens in this country put a tremendous financial strain on our resources and entitlement systems. Example, California has a $26 billion budget deficit. The cost of welfare for illegal aliens this state is $26 billion. Crack down on employers who knowingly hire illegal aliens with a $10,000 a head fine. Deny public assistance such as welfare, food stamps, health care, and education to illegal aliens. Invoice the illegal alien's country of origin for services rendered such as incarceration or medical care, etc. Create a Social Security card with a picture ID connected to E-Verify database to eliminate fraud. Eliminating illegal alien entitlement costs is key to this plan. We need a new Social Security card. Current Social Security card is made from paper. Create a plastic laminated card with watermarks. Magnetic strip on the back of the card should be tied to E-Verify database with the card holder's picture in the database. Step 6. End useless regulations. Recently, regulations have been used to promote the political agendas or ideology of certain political parties. Regulations have been used to promote social engineering and economic fairness. Keep regulations that ensure workplace health and safety, and remove regulations that have nothing to do with crime and corruption. Step 7. Remove all useless environmental regulations. We all like clean air and water, but recently the EPA has developed environmental regulations to promote political agendas. The EPA has used regulations as political favors to special interest groups. Keep regulations that make a healthier workplace and environment. Remove all regulations that have nothing to do with health and safety. Let's see if freeze and grow really works. With a 5% tax rate on capital, earned wages, corporate profits, tax receipts will grow. With the caps removed from Social Security receipts will grow. Look at the revenue increase with a modest 11% compounded growth each year, going from $2.9 trillion to $7.9 trillion in 11 years. Freeze the budget at FY 2008 level for 11 years, but allow 3.5% compounded growth for inflation. Plenty of revenue to run the federal government from $2.9 trillion to $4.0 trillion. Let's look at the budget deficit over those years. It goes negative for the first 2 years, then goes positive with a surplus. and all surplus applied to bring down the national debt. Let's look at the GDP over those years. With a modest 3.5% compounded GDP growth, we go from 16 trillion to 22.5 trillion in 11 years. Wow! Millions of more jobs. Now let's watch the national debt disappear. First 2 years the national debt increases, then it begins to disappear rapidly. The 11th year, it's just about gone. Conclusion. The 7-point plan would almost eliminate the national debt in 11 years without any reductions to entitlement programs or defense. The goal is to increase the GDP by 30% in 11 years while freezing the federal budget. Adopting this plan in 2013, the U.S. debt will be almost completely eliminated by 2023. By doing nothing in plain politics as usual, it will be a financial disaster for this country. Time is running out, and the national debt clock is counting up to disaster.